Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you. It is 9 minutes with Mike Lindsley, brought to you by our friends at the Phoenix Sports Restaurant and new associate sponsor of the program, Lakeshore Yacht and Country Club. Make sure you go there, join up, get a golf membership, super affordable. Get a hold of Zach and the gang over at Lakeshore. You can book your wedding, your private party. They have music on the deck for the rest of the summer. Perfect place, an all-encompassing event house at Lakeshore Yacht and Country Club. We're also brought to you by Axe Exotic Pets and your State Farm agent, Matt Graham. Get a free rate quote today with Matt Graham of State Farm. I was at Buffalo Bills camp today and had a blast, saw a lot, and I want to break it all down on the final day of camp as we're only 3 weeks or so away from the NFL season. The Bills will take on the Browns on Friday, and I think the first real takeaway is Brian Daboll's offense. I mean, this guy has so many moving parts. He runs a lot of the counter trays. He runs a lot of the wide receiver ins and outs. He runs a lot of the, designs and such. He runs tight ends across the middle. He runs all sorts of different things, all sorts of different formations. People are in motion all the time. And I love it. I think, what is going to be great about this is trying to keep defenses on the backside, on the heels. And if you keep pedaling backwards in your defense, what is most likely to happen for an offense? Simply put, open people. The more movement, the more changing, the more hidden tricks, etc. Yeah, that's going to leave more open people. And I think Daboll really has his shit together with this Bills offense. And, this is going to really, I think, benefit guys like Kroom, guys like Robert Foster, guys like Charles Clay. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, in this offense, a forgotten guy because of injuries, a forgotten guy because he was traded, a forgotten guy because of the comments and all the rest, Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin may benefit the most from this offense because he could be the deep guy, and then everybody else is kind of all around in motion here and there, and then you get a lot of one-on-one matchups off that. Having said that, maybe the tight ends will benefit, which I'm okay with. Remember Charles Clay a couple years ago? His best game was at Miami. They were getting Tyrod Taylor out of the pocket frequently. That was Charles Clay's best game as a Bill. I think Charles Clay is still underutilized. I think the tight ends are still underutilized in the Buffalo Bills offenses. But again, those offenses were coordinated by the likes of Greg Roman, Marshmallow Man, and also by the likes of Rick Dennison, for example. No. Fast forward to 2018, Brian Daboll comes from championship pedigree, championship offenses with New England and with the Alabama Crimson Tide and Nick Saban. I think Daboll's going to be terrific for the Buffalo Bills. That was the number one takeaway for me, up close and personal. Being able to watch the Buffalo Bills offense with all those different parts in and out. The second one, of course, would be the quarterbacks. No question. I didn't get any more read today than I did watching the preseason game against Carolina in terms of who's going to be the starter for week one. I would assume that Nathan Peterman will get the start against Cleveland on Friday. But again, Josh Allen the last couple of days has been getting more reps with the first team and certainly more reps with the second team. And so now Friday will roll along. I would expect Nathan Peterman to start. I would expect A.J. McCarron to get a little bit of time. And I would not wait if I'm the Buffalo Bills. Remember, I just did a video on this yesterday in terms of Josh Allen. I would not wait until the second half to get this guy in the game. I would get him in there earlier. Why? Because he needs to play with more first stringers. He needs to play with more second stringers. Couple other takeaways from Bills camp today. Just talking with the fans up along the fences and all the rest, and on my way in the team store and all this sort of thing. I kind of got a pulse from the fans. Who do you want at quarterback? And they're intrigued by the quarterback competition, but the overwhelming thought is, and maybe it's because what have you done for me lately, is Josh Allen. A lot of people want Josh Allen right now because they see the potential. They see that early talent right on the field. He is all of 6'3", 235. He ran by me today, greeting fans and all the rest, and he is a guy who people want to see. It is simple as that. Now, look, I know it was just a preseason game against Carolina, but you cannot ignore Josh Allen's potential. You cannot ignore the size and the strength. You cannot ignore some of the things that he just has, the quality talent that he is. Now, yeah, is the completion percentage a little shaky, of course, Are there still things going back to college that are a problem? Of course. But the Bills picked Josh Allen because they have that chip on the shoulder. He has that chip on the shoulder mentality. I heard a lot of Matthew Fairburn and Joe Biscaglia today on the Bills Beat podcast driving back from Fisher and Bills camp. And Matthew Fairburn brought it up. He said, and I agree with him, Marcus Murphy, for example, is a chip on the shoulder type guy. Matt Milano's a guy like that. You look at Kroom, you look at a lot of these players the Bills have. Josh Allen is no different. Remember Josh Allen, he got a scholarship at Wyoming once Eric Dungy was recruited and taken away by the Syracuse Orange and Scott Schaefer at the time. That's the only reason why Josh Allen ended up at Wyoming. They didn't even want Josh Allen. They wanted Eric Dungy, and then they quote-unquote settled for Josh Allen. He has a chip on his shoulder. When you look at Josh Allen, when you see the size, you see the strength, you see some of the raw talent, fans are buying in right now. They want to see this guy ASAP play as many games, play as many preseason games, get as many reps. And that was the overwhelming feeling from the fan aspect here today from St. John Fisher College. Now, wrapping up, a couple other takeaways. Defensively, again, I think this unit can be really, really, really good this year, but I am very, very concerned about their depth at defensive end. I'm not sure that there's a lot there, and so who does that benefit? Probably a guy like Shaq Lawson. Here's a guy who we have not seen a lot of so far because of his injuries and all the rest. Remember, he was a Clemson guy, and Rex fell in love with him. He wanted him for his defense. He wanted him to be a ferocious pass rusher. But he was injured when they drafted him, of course, pretty much. And then he said he wasn't injured. And then lo and behold, not too long after that, he did get injured with that shoulder and all the rest. And then Lawson missed time, and he really hasn't been right since. This is a big year for Shaq Lawson. We'll see if the defensive ends can keep it together. We'll see if the depth is there. I'm a huge fan of the secondary. Again, I think this is going to be a very, very good unit. This team intercepted balls like no tomorrow. My wife and I were watching a Bills special the other night, and they were reviewing all the plays and going through game by game by game. You look at the Denver game. You look at the Atlanta game. You look at all the games that happened. You look at the Kansas City game. You look at the game against Oakland. I mean, the secondary was all over the friggin' place, picking balls off. Micah Hyde here, Jordan Poyer here, Trey White there. This secondary has the potential, again, to be elite, and it looks as though those guys are hitting the ground running at training camp, and the cohesion is certainly there. So there's some Buffalo Bills takeaways on the final day of training camp. I'm Mike Lindsley. This is 9 Minutes with Mike Lindsley on IGTV, YouTube, and Facebook, and as we record this, you got to come join me this Saturday, folks, for a watch party. It's going to be Blue Jays, Yankees, and Saratoga's Alabama Stakes, plus all the races before that at the Phoenix Sports Restaurant. Everybody who comes gets an entry prize. Everybody who comes gets all-you-can-eat free cheese pizza all day long. They're also going to run $2 can specials. I'm going to have some other awesome raffle prizes like foursome at Timber Banks. I'm going to have a stay-and-play package from Batavia Downs, so make sure you come to the Phoenix Sports Restaurant this Saturday with me and watch Blue Jays, Yankees, some of the other big sporting events from the day on the tube, and you're going to have the Alabama Stakes and the races before that as well. The Phoenix Sports Restaurant, the place to be, right next to the Phoenix OTB. If you're in the Central New York area, come out and see me, come hang, even for a half hour. Eat some cheese pizza, grab a couple of brews, and hang out. We're also brought to you by Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State. Tax-efficient retirement planning with Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State. Go with Brian like I did. Put away money today to benefit tomorrow. Also, a big tip of the cap to Wagurski Law Firm, Welch & Company Jewelers, and, of course, Timber Banks Golf Club, the only Nicholas design in New York State. I'm Mike Lindsley, 9 Minutes with Mike Lindsley here, IGTV, Facebook, and YouTube. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports, and download my podcast, the ML Sports Platter, via Spotify, Google Play Music, and iTunes. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.